Hello, I'm Marion Jackson from My Virtual Assistant, your online personal assistant service, and I work from my home in Auckland, New Zealand. I thought I'd run through a bit of a case study to try and show you some of the things I can do, as well as how I can work with suppliers to help support a small to mid-sized business, and by taking care of the details so they don't have to. Due to confidentiality reasons, my case study is based on a fictitious business. However, I am working with clients right now where many of the examples I'm going to tell you about are actually real. Once upon a time, there was an extremely competent home handyman. His name was Mr. Bob Handy. Bob worked for himself and his company was called Mr. Handyman Can. Bob had a very good reputation. He was always on time and always cleaned up any mess before he left the job at the end of the day. And as a result, he was extremely popular with his clients, and he got a lot of repeat business and a lot of word-of-mouth referrals. But as much as Bob was a fabulous handyman, unfortunately he was struggling with the actual running of his business. And even though he always managed to put on a happy face in front of his clients, inside he was very worried about not spending enough time on the actual running of his business. And although the word-of-mouth referrals were great, Bob never got the chance to work on his website and never found the time to place any adverts in the local newspaper to promote his business and try and find more customers. One Saturday night, Bob went to a party. At the party, he was introduced to Marion from My Virtual Assistant. Marion explained what a virtual assistant does, and she gave Bob her business card. A few days later, Bob called Marion from My Virtual Assistant, and not long after, Bob's world started to change. Bob could never find the time to develop his brand identity, let alone keep up on top of his invoicing. So Marion arranged for Malcolm from Smart to take care of his accounting. And next she called Darren at XM Creative and asked Darren to design a new logo for Bob. Once Bob had his new logo, Marion did a mock-up of a business card and letterhead, and after making sure Bob liked them, she sent them through to Andrew from Smith Inc. And Andrew got right onto printing Bob's new stationery. Bob was pretty chuffed with his new business cards, and it was amazing how important they made him feel. Bob gave Marion a bunch of photographs he'd taken of some of the jobs he'd worked on, and she set about loading them onto his website. She also wrote some great copy and explained what type of services Bob offered so that people visiting his website could learn more about him. Next, Marion called up some of Bob's customers and she asked them to write testimonials, and of course, because everyone liked Bob so much, they all said really wonderful things about him. Marion also listed Bob's company on some online directories like Finder and the online Yellow Pages, and she even listed him with a special tradesman's website she knew about called Builder's Crack. Bob started to realize that the pressure was lifting, and he had a lot more spare time. Things were happening all around him very quickly and very efficiently. Bob was starting to appear a lot more professional, and he was starting to smile more on the inside. After seeing Bob's adverts in the local paper and online, people began checking out his new website. And the next thing Bob knew was that his phone wouldn't stop ringing. So Marion called Malcolm from Smart again and arranged for Malcolm to take care of all Bob's incoming calls. Bob's business was really taking off, and Bob decided it was time to hire 2 apprentices to keep up with all the extra work that was coming in. He asked Marion to put an advert in the local paper, and soon Bob found 2 applicants that he liked. Marion sent the guys to see Sean from Pod Consulting, and Sean did psychometric tests on them, and they both turned out to be wonderful fellows who got on very well with Bob. One day Bob told Marion that his wife's birthday was coming up. Bob wasn't very good at finding birthday presents, and he had no idea what to get her. So Marion helped him choose a stunning new handbag from Maria at MJ&MJ Trading. Bob's wife was thrilled with her new handbag, and she couldn't believe what a wonderful husband she had. Marion set up a monthly newsletter for Bob as well, so that all of Bob's existing and prospective clients could keep up to date with new building trends and see photos of the fabulous work Bob had done. By now, Bob's handyman business was running so smoothly that Bob decided to treat his wife to a holiday. Marion was a travel agent for 13 years, so she was able to suggest to Bob where they should go, and she even handled all the travel arrangements for him. Bob's wife was over the moon. They hadn't been able to go on holiday for years because Bob was always far too busy and couldn't afford to leave his clients. But now he had two very trustworthy apprentices to look after. So Bob and his wife had a lovely couple of weeks somewhere sandy and sunny. When Bob got back from his well-deserved trip, he was very happy to find that things were still running nice and smoothly at home, and he was even more delighted when Marion told him that word must have got round about what a great handyman he was, because the Professional Handyman's Institute of New Zealand had sent him an email to ask if he would speak at their annual conference next month. Well, Bob was very excited about this, and Marion set about creating a wonderful PowerPoint presentation for him. The day of the conference came, and the presentation went off without a hitch. Bob almost fainted when at the end of the evening he was presented with the Special Professional Handyman Award. When Marion found out about Bob's award, she wrote a media release for him and sent it off to all the local newspapers, complete with a photo of Bob and his award. Well, these days Mr. Bob Handy from Mr. Handyman Can is still working hard as a handyman. He always will, because he loves what he does, and he enjoys seeing the smiles on his customers' faces when he's finished building something they just love. The difference is that Bob's not stressed anymore, and now he's able to take time out to relax and do all the things he enjoys doing. Even his wife is happier, because for a while there she was starting to forget what Bob looked like. So thanks to Marion from My Virtual Assistant and all her friends at BNI. Mr. Bob Handy and his wife are living happily ever after and always will. And as for Marion from My Virtual Assistant, well, she just loves being a virtual assistant, and she says that the success of her business depends totally on the success of her client's business.